tell you what, Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Even by our mental standards, even by Chelsea Football Club's totally insane standards, this is ridiculous. New Year's Eve, we're talking about our manager potentially not taking charge of our next game. How on earth has it come to this? And it tells you everything that you need to know about the state of affairs of everything that is going on at Chelsea Football Club. This is supposed to be a time where we can dream. First day of the year. You're allowed to dream. You're allowed to be anything you want to be. You're allowed to actually have those thoughts where you go, are we capable? Nobody can tell you that it isn't possible. Maybe this can happen. Maybe that can happen. Maybe we can launch a serious campaign to win the Champions League. Maybe we can secure ourselves as a top 4 team. Maybe we can win silverware. And suddenly a nuclear bomb is dropped in the club from within the club. It is a total and utter self-detonate. Chelsea Football Club in turmoil on New Year's Eve. Like, Enzo Maresca wants out of the club. And you can see that he's going. You can see that Enzo Maresca is very unlikely to manage another game at Stamford Bridge. You can see that by the time we play Man City, that it's basically going to be Rossignol. It is so clearly scripted. It is so clearly a downgrade. It is so clearly unacceptable. And it is so clearly Clear Lake. That's what it is. This is Blueco. This is the new model. This is Todd Bowley. This is Bedard Agbali. This is those pillocks that are our sporting directors. This is what it is. And this is why we are in this situation, destroying the club from the inside out. And for me, it isn't even really about Maresca. You know, I see Maresca merely as a pawn. I don't particularly like him. I don't particularly rate him. But he obviously has more sporting integrity, more footballing understanding than these people running the football club. Chelsea are being run into the ground by American venture capitalists and these two sporting directors who are merely trying to extract money from the club. Money out of the game. Like, Bluecoat are clearly trying to destroy the soul of the club. If this ever becomes a case of the ownership versus the manager, it doesn't matter who the manager is, I will back the manager. If this becomes Eghbali versus Maresca, Maresca has my undenying support. He has my total, partisan, unilateral, aggressive support. Because these owners are toxic. And I have said this before and I will say it again. The worst thing to have ever happened to Chelsea Football Club is this ownership getting their claws into the club. That is how bad it is. That is how poor it is. I mean, these sporting directors don't even mean this in a personal way. They're doing their job. But they have to go. They have to go. They are an absolute disgrace. And quite clearly, they are failures. This is the most, like, do you ever find this, right? And this is more explicitly aimed at Chelsea fans watching this. Like, if you don't support Chelsea, you're probably not aware of this so much. If you're not within the club, if you're not part of this, you probably won't feel this to the same degree. Because when you're looking at it from the outside in, you go, well, they spend a lot of money, they're probably doing their best. And it is so false, it is so misleading, it is so not the case. Like, they aren't trying to improve the football team. Yes, they're spending money, but they're doing it in a way to try and secure the value of the club and try to make more money out of the club. Nobody, in terms of like a sporting conversation, would make the decisions that they make. None of the decisions that these sporting directors are making are done with the first team in mind. Like, they are failures. They are failures at their job. And it's so frustrating, you know, when you talk to people who don't support Chelsea and they go, well, Cole Palmer's a good player. They signed him. Moises Caicedo's a good player. They signed him. And you're like, yeah, they did. They did sign Cole Palmer. But for every single Cole Palmer, I could name you 10 Datro Fofanas. For every single Caicedo, I could name you 10 Dario Isugos. You know, who else has actually been good? When you think Caicedo, yes. Palmer, yes. I mean, David Washington, how's he been? You know, and then even just the motivations. And this is why I don't really hold Maresca accountable. Like I say, he leaves me cold, but I don't hold him accountable because nobody with any footballing understanding would want to start a season with Tosin Adarabioyo as a starting centre-half. Nobody. And whatever I think of Maresca's limitations as a manager, he has a footballing understanding. He obviously wanted a centre-half, so why haven't they bought him one? Why, on the final day of the transfer window, when things are going so wrong at Chelsea, when our best defender at the club, Levi Colwill, gets injured, we're going to dip into the transfer market, we're going to spend some money, okay, great, what are we going to do? Terrible that Colwill's injured, but the timing of it's quite good, the transfer window's still open, we're going to go for it and get Gahey? No, we're going to sign Garnacho. But don't worry, we're going to sign someone else as well. Okay, great. So Garnacho, I don't care, I don't like him, I don't rate him. Fine, you want him for your project, great. but you're going to sign someone else. Oh, yeah, we're going to sign someone else. Okay, great. Who? You're going to sign a centre gay here? No. Okay, go on. Who? Buonanotte. Like, nobody with a footballing brain, and Enzo Maresca clearly has a footballing brain. Nobody with a footballing brain wants to sell Madueke and buy Jamie Gittins. Like, this is Stuart and Winstanley. What are they doing? Nobody in the world, whatever you think of Madueke, you could argue the pros and cons of selling Madueke if you get the 50 million for Madueke and go and buy Eze. But I'm so fed up with being gaslit, and it's not only the sporting directors, it's not only the owners, it's journalists who seem to trot out these lines. It's some fans who just back the club relentlessly, regardlessly. Like, I love Chelsea Football Club with all my heart. I've been going to Chelsea since I can remember. I feel like I know more about this club, more about the soul of the club than these owners. And yet people are telling me that, oh, you're not the fan. You're like, mate, what are you on about? You've got a situation, right? You've got a situation where they're trying to force out a player like Conor Gallagher. I'll give you a good example, right? They're trying to force him out. And I'm going, no. People are like, you don't understand. Conor Gallagher, oh yeah, Cobham, all that, right? The world is telling me you've got articles being written by, in theory, reputable journalists. It's trotting out the club line. And they go, Dewsbury Hall's a better player. Dewsbury Hall will replace him fine. And you're like, what planet are you on? Nobody, no footballing man in the world thinks that Kiernan Dewsbury Hall is a better player than Conor Gallagher. No manager in the world picks Kiernan Dewsbury Hall over Conor Gallagher. Conor Gallagher was part of an England team that were doing really well. Kiernan Dewsbury Hall was in the Championship. They operate in different ends of the spectrum. They operate on a totally different plane. They effectively don't play the same sport. And then I feel like I'm being gaslit into believing that I'm wrong. I go, Conor Gallagher shouldn't leave. It'd be a disaster if he left. No, Dewsbury Hall, mate. What are you talking about? And then they do it. They did it with Chalobah, which is ironic because they've had to bring him back. Do you remember when they were trying to flog Trevor Chalobah? They were trying to get rid of Chalobah to Palace, right? They were desperately trying to get rid of Chalobah to go to Palace. And they were telling us that Tosin Adebayo was a better player. Like, what planet are you on? And now Enzo Maresca's had enough of it. And you can see that Enzo Maresca is being forced to rotate. And that's, I think, why we saw those 5 changes at Leeds. And that is ultimately why we got beat at Leeds. It's just truly ridiculous. Like, the way that they have normalised mediocrity at this club is appalling. And you know, when we talk about like a fit and proper person's test, how are these people that? How are these people that? I just don't know where we go from here. But even by our own bonkers standards, this is something else. You know, you've got now a situation where Adebayo plays. The manager clearly doesn't fancy him. Like, the manager clearly wanted to buy a centre-half. There's absolutely no way that he wanted Liam Delap. Clearly doesn't like him, clearly doesn't rate him. And from what we've seen, let's be totally frank, Enzo Maresca's right. But what? Liam Delap was a market opportunity or whatever they want to talk about. You know, we've heard people involved in Blueco talking about how the sporting project is almost secondary to the brand building. And this is where it all gets really sinister. And this is actually where I feel like it breaks my heart. Because you can see what they're doing. Like, there is a sinister movement happening at Chelsea that is being led by these owners, and everyone involved with this ownership should hang their heads in shame. Like, we're called Chelsea Football Club proudly. Go to Stamford Bridge. Have a look around. Do they acknowledge that anywhere? What is this rebranding? CFC LDN. CFC LDN. And do you know what it is? In my opinion, this is my theory. We own the pitch. I own the pitch. I am a Chelsea pitch owner. They cannot move stadiums without our blessing and still call themselves Chelsea Football Club. But guess what? They could move stadiums without our blessing and call themselves CFC LDN. Do you see what is going on? There is a constant ambition from this ownership to make the game as unpalatable to season ticket holders as possible, and more palatable to corporate fans, more palatable to tourist fans. If you come to London for a weekend, Stamford Bridge is the place to go. That's what they're trying to market us as. That's why we're playing music off the back of a scoring a goal. That's why they keep lighting fireworks as if we're some sort of like tourist attraction, some sort of display. Why are you lighting fireworks unless you've won a European Cup? Why are you playing music after we score a goal? Are we Bolton Wanderers? Are we Queen's Park Rangers? The pricing is appalling. It is all being done with this motivation to drive the true fans out of the stadium, to drive the true fans away from the club, and to welcome in as many corporate fans as possible. Chelsea is supposed to be a tourist attraction, and that is what is happening. And they are trying to make as much money out of the club as possible, and you can see that in the transfer dealings. Like, nobody in their right mind wants to sign Jamie Gittins and lose Madueke. Like, lose Madueke, fine, but go and sign Eze. Like, how have you not gone for Donnarumma, Eze, Mark Gahey in the summer off the back of the season that we had last year? And this team that they've built, there's just so many. Like, how many players have been so bad? And the sporting directors are still in a job. Like, they've spent £2 billion, and we're not better than the team that we had in '97. No, in fact, '97 is a terrible shout from me, because that team of '97 would be so, like, Dennis Wise obviously better than Enzo Fernandez, Frank Leboeuf obviously better than both our centre halves, Marcel Desailly obviously better than both our centre halves, Steve Clarke would definitely be better than any right back at the club if Reece James is now seen as a midfielder. Is Graham Lasso better than Cucurella? Probably. Caicedo gets in the team. Cole Palmer gets in the team. Mark Hughes obviously better than Liam Delap. It's mental. Our '94 team, Erland Johnson and Jakob Jelberg are clearly better players than any of the centre halves. Tosin Adarabioyo is not better than Erland Johnson. That's a fact. Jez Ho is better than Tosin Adarabioyo. You know, everything is just done to make money. And now Enzo Maresca has had enough. And, like, don't get me wrong, I feel like I see some sort of impassioned defence of Enzo Maresca. He's gone nuclear. And I kind of rate him for that. I kind of respect him for that. But my opinion on this is that he's basically an irrelevance to this project. He's basically an irrelevance. Like, he was never good enough to get the Chelsea job in the first place. I think he's done all right, but I think his tactics are horrible. I think his tactical tweaks are appalling. I think his substitutions are ridiculous. But he obviously wanted a centre-half in the summer, and he didn't want Liam Delap. Obviously, no manager in the world wants Axel Disasi. Obviously, no manager in the world wants Benoit Badiashile. And he doesn't necessarily want to rotate, particularly when he's talking about potentially winning the league. He doesn't want to rotate, but these owners are making him do that. You know, what top manager would choose to operate under this ownership? In fact, what manager at all? You know, people want to be snide about Frank Lampard's role under this ownership. He's got his hands tied behind his back. You know, when he had a good owner, he had Chelsea's youth team effectively playing in the quarterfinals of the Champions League, the FA Cup final, top four. Give him this ownership, he can't get a win. Like, at some point, something needs to change here. You know, I am now just, like, totally sick of it. And it's such a shame because I reckon every football fan in the world believes that their football team is the most bonkers. But I actually believe that Chelsea are. Like, that is a trophy that we have, isn't it? That is a trophy that we have. We are the most bonkers around. You know, and apparently today there is an emergency meeting to decide Maresca's future. And I think we know what that future will be. I think we know exactly what's going to be said in that. And I think Enzo Maresca has managed his last game at Chelsea. I'm so sick of it. I'm just so sick of it. I can't tell you the destruction that these owners have done. Dear oh dear. Shambles, isn't it? Anyway, Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Like and subscribe. That's what people do, isn't it? Not a nightmare. I do wish you all a Happy New Year. I hope that 2025 was great for you. And if it wasn't, 2026 will be. Keep your chin up. Win or lose. Up the Blues.